It's Mr. Extraordin yet again with another video. I'm not alone once again. I'm with Tibet Lokhala, and I'm with another guy that I truly am excited to have on the channel. It's Zuko. I call him Zuko, but his full name is what? Zanozuko?
Zanozuko. Sakhumzi. Mfana kamlambo.
Yeah, that's the guy right there.
Yeah.
Pardon? Are you saying something?
Zanozuko.
Yes.
Sounds like a bleach name, or a Zanpakto name or something.
It sounds like a Zampakto.
Yeah, sounds like a Zanpakto. But yeah, this is
the translation of it would be come with honor, come with glory, depending on which region of the ex-hosers you ask.
Ex-hosers. Oh.
So I mean, so already I've got my release, guys. I've got my release. Sanozuko, come with honor.
It's funny. You know, how many people actually translate their own names to find out if they make sense or not?
I just did it from a young age. Maybe it's also because I went to a white school pretty young.
Really?
So you know they would have what's it called? White curiosity. Let's call it that.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my god, what does it mean? It's so exotic.
What a nice way of putting it, white curiosity.
But did they pronounce or did they give you like a nickname, or did they call you Zed or?
No, actually, they called me Zuku.
So they chapoed your name.
They chapoed it strong, bro. And I'm like, Zuko, like you can say zoo, you can say like cool beans, like it's not that hard, bro.
That's true. But
I've given up on that anyway.
I just wanted us to continue with the X-Men talk. Yesterday, Tibble and I were just giving people just an introduction of the X-Men. So basically what we covered is just the intention of the comic books, or the IP, or that Stan Lee was just doing this so that, well, first of all, we said that he was just tired of creating these characters that had these scientific origins, or like accidents, or chemical gamma radiation, or being bitten by a spider. So it's like these people are born with superpowers.
But in context, there were if you think about he had done a lot, because by that time we already had Captain America, we already had the Fantastic Four. We had already had
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was big at that time.
And Hulk.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he was just running out of excuses for why these people had powers.
Yeah. And actually, I actually heard somewhere that if you think about it, most DC characters in the 50s their origin stories were based on tragedy, right? Batman's parents got shot. Superman's planet was destroyed. Who else? I think Aquaman's father drowned or something back in the 50s, though. But the
fish drowned.
Yeah, apparently.
I don't want to laugh, but
no, but the dad, not the mom. And then Flash was the only one that Barry Allen was the only one that got his powers from a scientific experiment thing, and I think that's how Stan Lee was inspired.
Correction.
But he was also based in tragedy, because he used his powers to try and overcome a tragedy. So tragedy was still a focal point.
Are we talking about Golden Age Flash or Silver Age onwards? Because
we're talking about Silver Age.
Golden Age Flash's powers, the way he got his powers were pretty stupid.
Yeah.
How did he get his powers?
He quote unquote inhaled hard water.
Yeah, he did. But look, the Golden Age is.
I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
The golden age
I'm
was
basically doing it now.
the golden age was a
oh, we
rough
need to censor
period.
that. They're not sponsored. We are not sponsored. Are we sponsored?
No, we're not
You
sponsored.
know, we ain't gonna be giving them free ads for nothing.
But yeah, the golden age was a rough era, but I guess when you start you're gonna be a bit shaky, man. Like you are. I mean, Batman in the golden age was using guns, so you know.
Oh
But
yes, yes.
I'm
Superman
not
was
gonna
practically
front.
God.
That was one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite Batmans. When Barry does the whole flashpoint and he finds and then I can't remember which one it was, but Bruce's dad becomes Batman and he's using guns and he's
yeah,
basically Red Hood
yeah,
but as Batman.
yeah,
And that was one of my favorite Batman because he was just so like kill them all.
yeah.
Like, so how are we gonna solve this problem? We're gonna
He
shoot them.
he
No, but
shot.
we need the information. No, we're gonna
Didn't
shoot
he
them.
shoot Reverse Flash or whatever his name is? Why do I always get
He
his name
did.
wrong?
Reverse Flash, yeah. Iwa Thorn.
Yeah, he popped a bullet through his head.
Yeah.
Like, yep, that's the one.
He pops caps first, asks questions later.
Yeah. But it makes sense because from his perspective, unlike Bruce, with Bruce, he doesn't want to use guns because that's how his parents died. With Thomas, that's how his son died. So it's like, you know what? I'm gonna kill everybody because I have nothing to live for anyway.
And then his mom became the Joker. I still.
Yeah, I guess it shows you that different people react differently to tragedy, I guess. Because if the wife turns into Joker, that means she lost it, right? She lost her mind.
Okay, get correct me if I'm wrong. There is a frame where they meet once a year at Bruce's
Yeah,
graveyard.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying to I'm trying to put that into context. It's like, okay, I've got this super plan. I'm gonna kick your ex next week, but you know what? Our baby's dead, so you're
yeah.
gonna meet him at the grave.
Let's take a break
Let's take a break.
for 24 hours.
You know,
It's
don't
called a
worry.
truce, guys. It's called a truce.
A truce.
Like our baby died today. Calm down. Like, let's go cry. We'll kill each other tomorrow.
But anyway, guys, let's go back to X-Men. So yeah, we're just saying that that's how Stanley created them, and we're just mentioning some of the most popular X-Men from Charles's camp. We spoke about Cyclops, we spoke about Storm, Jubilee, Gambit, Rogue.
And before you continue, sorry, can I interrupt you?
So
I actually saw an interview where Stan Lee actually confirmed that his basis of X-Men was basically black people.
yes,
Because he saw all the racism that was happening and he
Mm.
was like, okay, so these people are being treated different because of their color skin.
right.
And then it's like, okay, how can I make a social commentary on it without saying social commentary?
Yes.
And that's one of the founding bases of the X-Men, which I think is very cool. And if you see how the X-Men have been treated in the movies, in the comics, in the cartoons, you'd be like,
Games.
damn. Everyone else is basically the Buddha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was about to say that.
yeah.
And then I also was about to say that's why if you also look at the history of Genosha,
Right.
very familiar to the history of South Africa actually, because
Yeah.
the government before Magneto came was very pro apartheid,
Mm.
segregation and everything, and then in comes this man who controls metal
Yeah.
with a cape.
Just to add on to what Zuko was saying, it was created during the civil rights movement, the 60s, right? The 1960s. And at the time, you had President J.F. Kennedy, and you had prominent figures in the black community like Malcolm X and Martin Luther. And it is assumed or believed that Professor X and Magneto are loosely based on Malcolm X and Martin Luther. Martin Luther believed in, a pacifistic, like he was a pacifist, I guess you could say, because he believed in non-violence. I think he was a pastor or something.
You think?
While
Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King, bruh.
yeah,
Do you want the Americans to come kill us?
nah, they won't, they won't, they won't.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a reverend, sure. And Malcolm X uh, didn't really believe in being offensive, right? But he believed that if people come and attack you, you shouldn't just turn the other cheek. To him, it didn't make sense, for you to
By
lose
any
your.
means necessary.
Yeah, look, don't go there and start something. But if something happens to you, don't just sit and watch your brothers and sisters get killed or murdered or, get hosed down or dogs biting them. Retaliate.
Exactly.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he was a little. He was pro protecting yourself
Mm.
and your community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when when black men arm yourself was basically his motives like that. They're not going to give you. They're not going to give you the respect you deserve up until you start demanding for it.
Right.
And the
Mm.
only way you can respect yourself is if you can protect that which you care about.
That's
Mm.
it. That's
Gra-
it. You know.
Granted, Magneto took it to extremes, and that's the thing you learn about the characters.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
what happens when you take these ideas to extremes, because then you also have these things that we don't have in real life, which is these superpowers. I mean,
Right. Right. Right.
Mm-mm. And so that I think was the beauty of Magneto.
Mm.
He wanted something great, and he had the power to do something great. However, there was no control because he wanted freedom for his people, and he was not going to stop. And that's also that thing where that saying absolute power corrupts absolutely. He had absolute power, and I mean, he says what we are the evolution, so we are the
Mm.
new species. So
We are
if you
superior.
come
We are
to,
Homo superior.
yeah, we
I,
superior, yeah, we homo superior, and so you will die. So adapt or die out.
I tried
And
to
I
quote the first
think that was
movie because that's what in that line he says, "We are the future, Charles, not them. They no
mm,
longer matter."
Yeah.
Still
yeah.
gives
And
me
Charles was
chills.
all like, and Charles was basically the kumbaya, let's all get along and work through our differences. And
But
Magneto was like, hey man,
now that
I,
F that.
now that we're talking about this, I realized that Charles was speaking from privilege, and Magneto
Mm,
was speaking from hard experience, hardship. He's speaking from experience, bro. I've seen
yeah.
people die. I've seen humans do the most atrocious things, and I have been blessed with this power, right, to change things. And I'm not gonna sit by and watch the same things happen all over again. Not again, bro. I'm gonna
I would,
take matters in my own hands.
I'd like to give a counter argument, and I cannot believe I'm going to be defending Charles.
Mm.
But in specifically because it's Charles, I'm going to say that he doesn't really have privilege. He has the benefit of having a perspective no one else has.
Which is
He's literally just gone through the minds of every single person every single person in the world. Well, he can,
right,
and he
Mhm.
sees what he has seen is the common good in all humanity,
right.
and that's a perspective that, as much that's a perspective that he's burdened to carry out, no matter how much it makes him seems like the odd man out in the situation.
That's true, and I agree with what you're saying. That's because I'm more of a Charles guy than a Magneto guy, but I'm just speaking from their perspectives.
Mm.
Um, but the reason I'm saying what I'm saying is, had Charles grown up facing the same atrocities that Magneto had faced, I think he would be more understanding. Yes, I do know that he also has empathy as a superpower. I get that. But you also need to realize that human beings, in as much as they want to do the right thing, fear tends to make them make the most drastic decisions.
No, fear is a more powerful modifier than hope ever is. That's the dangerous thing about it.
Exactly. When you look at a character like who's this villain? Is it Bishop? No, no, not Bishop. The guy
The
in
time traveler.
X2, who's a pastor who says that mutants are not from God or something. Um, remember
When was the last time I watched
The
X2?
movie X2.
yeah, the villain Stryker, William Stryker.
He's not a pastor.
Ah,
I was like, what
No, in the comics.
in the comics, yes, but I was thinking in the movies, like,
Yeah, no, in the movie.
yeah, that threw
The
me.
movie, trying to get the name. Because he's the main villain in X2, right? So he believes that mutants are not from God, and so obviously he will instill fear in the minds of human beings, right? And once that happens, in as much as Charles can read people's minds and believes there's hope and knows that everybody would like a peaceful planet, fear will make them do certain things that goes against what Charles sees or reads, and
and the
that's where
opposite,
Magneto comes in.
and the same also applies for Magneto. Let's not forget, as much as I love him, Magneto doesn't see humans as humans.
Yeah, he's a bit racist. That's
A
that's
bit is a polite statement.
he's very racist.
It's a polite statement.
Yeah,
He has stopped seeing humans as humans.
right,
He sees the only people worth his time are other fellow mutants.
right.
And if your dream exists at the exclusion of other people, then it becomes a problem.
Mm,
And that's why Charles is a dreamer. That's his weakness. His biggest weakness is also his biggest strength. He holds on to these dreams of his, no matter whether they can exist in this day and age or not.
right.
But uh, in that, what keeps him going is the fact that
And okay, continue.
he to quote another movie, to quote The Matrix, the Oracle says it best. The only thing I care about is the future, and believe me, I know the only way to get there is together.
Mm,
That's where the Oracle and Charles kind of meet. They know the only way to that tomorrow is working together. And I'm not in. Yeah, if you're talking about the movies they're exclusively people who don't have powers. The humans are the are the rest of them. Then the mutants are the powerful ones.
right,
But if you're to take it to Marvel, there are humans who are pretty strong.
right.
There's no way you can just say being a mutant is mutually exclusive to power.
Yeah, because
So
you have the Avengers, you have X Force, you have whatever. You have so many teams that okay, not X Force maybe, but you have a lot of characters within the Marvel universe, Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four,
the
who
Hulk,
who are not inferior.
yes,
So you do have a point there, and they're not mutants.
they're
So
not mutants, they're just people. So it's from that perspective, a war with the humans would most likely wipe out all mankind. Nobody wins from that.
right, right, right,
I think the only person who would survive would probably be a mutant with radiation powers and Darwin, not
What's
the movie Darwin, the actual Darwin.
and Cable if she wasn't poisoned?
Wait,
Yeah,
who's Darwin again? Which Darwin are we talking about?
remember from the one who adapts. His powers is adapting.
Oh, the
He
one
was in the
who died in the movie,
yeah, the one who died in the movie
and he's not
and
supposed
who's
to die.
not actually supposed.
Yeah,
He's not supposed to die because he's supposed to literally adapt to that.
right, right,
His power is literally adapting to anything, and
So
then that happens. So anyway,
and
before we carry on, um, and on the point of fear, Magneto experienced the Nazis. So
right,
his biggest fear is that happening to his people,
right,
and that fear controls him
right,
in making sure that that never ever happens to mutants again.
right,
Striker same thing. And he's actually, it's basically the what's happening right now in South. I don't know if you've been on Twitter the last since Juju Malema did his thing on Saturday. But
Right.
basically, white people have lost their mind and like, oh my
Be-
God, the black people are trying to kill us.
yeah,
And
because
Striker basically has that same thing. Is like, okay, we treated these people badly. These people will retaliate against us, and they're stronger than us. They're faster than us.
Right.
They can shoot fire out of their asses and whatever. So we don't have a chance. All we've got is like fists and guns, and some of these guys can bounce guns and they can reflect bullets. And
so,
now that fear again drives him into making sure that he eliminates mutants.
Right.
However, as in most people, um, let's say between us, maybe I want to kill the Boers, but you guys, you just want to get along. You just want like, hey, bro, I just want to get my 9 to 5. I just want to be able to open my business and get a good rate, a good business loan. I don't want to get the black rate. I want to get the good rate, that my credit rate uh, um, mandates. I don't want to be like, okay, your credit score means that your loan will be at 5% above prime, but because you're black, we'll make it 7.5 above prime. So, and that's the danger of fear. And I think on both sides, you see the fear. You see the fear from Striker's side because he's scared of what the mutants can do, and obviously there'll be bad mutants. I mean, they're
Right.
human.
Right.
At their basis, they're human. They're just humans with powers.
Yeah.
And you can see it from Magneto's point of view because he's seen what humans can do.
Right.
He lived it. So fear I think is also one of the, and I think that's the juxtaposition of Charles and Magneto. It's fear and hope. One
yeah,
operates from fear, the other one operates from hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's why it would be great. It would be better if they work together than they try to push their agendas apart. If they found common ground and try to see the bigger picture, which is the survival of their mutant kind, which is what Charles is trying to do with the school, but he still needs someone with leadership capabilities and who's willing to do things that he won't do or his students won't do to be part of that camp, so that there's a bit of a balance. I mean, I know now in the comics, I think Magneto hasn't been a villain in a very long time, and I think in
Well,
the
it's
comics,
it's hard to justify his villainy, especially in this day and age.
right. Look, but at the same time, Stan Lee said something very, very profound. I don't know if that was always the intention, but he did say that he never really saw Magneto as a villain. So, and I know in the comics, Magneto does say, "Look, I've committed a lot of crimes, and I'm turning myself in," and he did turn himself in. I think this was either before he replaced Charles as leader in the comics or after. But sorry, guys.
You need a drink?
Batum,
I think so. But
Um,
he's got that khawkhelo, man.
yeah, no, I got that.
get vaccinated, kids.
But
He's
yeah,
got that
somewhere.
khawkhelo.
But Magneto saw the error of his ways, and he tried to redeem himself.
That
Um,
that I like that idea of thinking that that they work best when they're working together,
mm,
because you've seen that there are cases where it's been applied
right.
many times where they work together. When there's a bad guy that is an existential threat beyond their own ideals, they happily work together. For an
Like
example,
like Apocalypse,
yep,
Mr. Sinister.
yeah, whenever those guys come, because then it's not a matter of mutant prosperity over human prosperity. It's all of you are beneath my feet. Someone's going to have a problem with that.
It's
And
definitely going to be Magneto.
Yeah.
I've seen Magneto work with very bad people before. I mean, he's more than willing to work with. He works with Charles, yes, but he's also worked with Doctor Doom
Yeah.
from time to time. He's worked against Doctor Doom from time to time.
In Secret Wars, I think he was working against. I remember.
And then, of course, there was the one time where I don't know what possessed the Red Skull to think that he could work with with Magneto, but he effed around and found out.
Who?
Red Skull,
Who's that?
the Red
Red
Skull.
Skull.
Oh, Red Skull. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it did not end well because we all know Red Skull is still before all things, he's still a Nazi.
Yeah.
And
Look,
That's his
when
first. That's
when
his first
DC,
call of action.
like what?
even when DC and Marvel amalgamated, when they had both of their characters in a comic book, Joker killed the Red Skull, and people are like,
Like,
"What are you doing?" It's like, guys, I might be crazy, right? I might be,
but I'm still an American.
but I'm still an American.
Guys,
So
I
yeah,
believe Magneto buried him alive
jeez.
in a one of those bunkers. I was like,
Oh, speaking of that, I also wanted us to talk about the movies, and what the movies have brought, to global audiences versus our perception of how we understand the comics versus film. The reason I want us to talk about it is first of all, I want us to talk about the fact that Deadpool has brought Hugh Jackman, or rather, Ryan Reynolds has brought Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine, which is great. And they're busy with the movie, and it
can,
seems like
can we talk
uh,
about the uniform? The uniform is back.
let's talk about the uniform first before I
Like
get into what I wanted to talk about.
my inner 10-year-old was like, yay, because one of my biggest issues was, yeah, so much as we like to explain that they're being realistic, nobody would wear yellow spandex to
Yeah,
battle.
yeah. But
But
the
we still
Underpen.
but the
but we
level.
but we still see characters like Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is wearing the iconic colors, and I'm thinking, if he can do it, why can't all the others?
Cause Spider-Man is covered from head to toe, bro. Like, you don't have an excuse. If Spider-Man can be covered from head to toe, then any costume can work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then if you
Superman's been in his underpan on top of his tights since the first one.
Without shame.
without shame,
Yeah. Yeah.
the,
So the costume is great. Some people are not a fan of the long sleeves on his arms, but hey, look, it works. And maybe
y'all want to
we'll see
thirst.
the helmet,
Call
or whatever you call it.
call it what it is. Y'all are a bunch of thirsty people that want to look at Hugh Jackman's delicious meaty arms, and you want to perv, and you don't because the thing is, you as much as you like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, it's just that because he's so handsome, he has to cover up because Deadpool is covered in tumors, so you don't see Ryan Reynolds' body anymore. So you
Yeah.
want something to thirst over, and you're thinking you'd get a chance with Hugh Jackman, and that ain't gonna happen. Ryan Reynolds' ego is too big for anyone to share the limelight, especially like that. Okay,
But
so
Why do you sound like the advocate for the Hugh Jackman Thirst Association?
he has a badge. He has a badge of honor.
I
Uh,
have I have been a member of that group since before the X-Men movies.
oh, wow.
Do
But
not.
but yeah, look, that's one thing I've also noticed with actors. As much as they play these characters for years, some of the things that they do are out of the characters, what the character in the comics would normally do. The fact that they take off their masks and whatever helmets, like Thor doesn't wear a helmet that much, is
You
because
know?
they want you as the viewer to be aware that, okay, I'm the actor playing this guy, like Ant-Man, Scott Lang, which I believe one day we will talk about the trilogy, the Ant-Man trilogy, which I think is one of the weakest trilogies in the MCU, but we'll get there.
Wait, is it a trilogy? Oh yeah. Sorry, I
It
haven't.
is.
Sorry,
is.
I didn't see the third one with Kang, so
Please watch it. Please watch it.
never.
Yeah, why would you want to
There
watch
is
a
no.
white family coming into a black man's home and then telling him it's their home and then trying to take him out of it? Why would you want to
there,
watch that?
there, there is no army large enough that will compel me to watch that. As
I'm going to watch it. I haven't watched it as well, but I'm going to watch it just because I literally have no. I'm going to watch it so that I actually have an actual opinion on it.
I
I
watched it.
don't want to watch it. I saw the trailer. Nothing grabbed me.
just when
Okay,
when it comes to
Jonathan Majors grabbed me, but like nothing really grabbed. Like you go to this guy's place
thank
and
you.
then you tell him like, no, this is wrong. Like I was just like, what?
I watched.
You know, sometimes when you a little bit of wokeness sometimes ruins movies for you because you just like, what's this nonsense now?
it's a little more than I think with the entire is it phase 4 phase 5 now? What is it called?
It's phase four now,
Is it 4?
isn't it four? It's four. The whole since not the Guardians. What's the Galaxies? The one with Rob Stark. What's that one called?
Oh,
Endgame.
Eternals.
The
Eternals.
Eternals. Yes, yeah. From the Eternals, it's been phase four.
Look, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 recently, and I think that's the best film that in Phase 4. Uh, but wait, isn't it Phase 5? Are you guys sure? Because
Uh,
Black Panther
um,
is Black Panther Phase 4?
I
Wakanda.
think it's phase four. Like I think I can double check. We can double check later, but
yeah, phase 4 or phase
if
5. Guys, we are showing us how shockingly uninterested we are with these Marvel movies
Yeah,
because
yeah. Look,
no, the thing is,
ball,
they
ball.
even the action is not that entertaining.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
Black Panther, they had to change the storyline because of Chadwick,
yeah.
IP,
yes,
and
they recast
I
each
don't
other.
know. Yeah, so I don't know why they killed him in that. And if they killed him, what they should have done is made Storm the baby mom because that would have now carried on into a new story
Yeah.
with his son because that's but so now they've changed it and also the problem is the same reason The Witcher. This will probably the last season I watched with zeal. Is that these guys wanna? They have the source material. The source material is great,
Mm.
and then they want to do their own thing. And then look at what they did to The Witcher season 2. Everybody said this is terrible. Go back to the source material, and they were like, "No, my ego's too big to hear you." And that's why
But it's the same
Henry Cavill
counter. It's the same counter argument they
Henry
usually
Cavill is
have.
gone. That's why Henry Cavill is gone. That was his last season. Liam Hemsworth is going to be the new Geralt for
Good luck
season
with that.
4. So, and a lot of people, and also the thing is, you brought a niche thing to people, and then you want to just do typical thing like it's the. I hate to go back to this because I have PTSD. It's what happened with Game of Thrones. You had this epic
You s-
story, and then because you are so in your lane, you couldn't think outside of the box. You thought, do it like this, and this is how it's done. This is how Hollywood does it.
is that
For 6 seasons, no. Remember, for 6 seasons, they basically followed for 5 seasons, they followed the books. They
yes?
try to keep as much to the books as possible. And then season 6, they consulted with
George.
R.R. Martin.
Mm.
So you could see season 6 it was starting to deviate away because they didn't have the source material to work from, and they basically had to think for themselves now.
Mm.
And then season And basically, they were given an overview for season 6, 7, and 8. Like this, he said, like, in my mind, I wanted to go like this, and then because of the tragedies that happened to Danny, she basically becomes a father again. But and remember, these guys took a year off and then shot longer episodes and still couldn't tell the story correctly.
Yeah.
And still compressed and still made the thing too quick.
Right.
Because the ego wouldn't let them tell the story. They had to tell it this way because this is how Hollywood does it. This is how we do it. They couldn't just be different
I'm glad.
and just
I'm,
let the story go.
I'm glad to bring in this up because this also goes back to comics versus film. We have to admit the X-Men movies have been a mess for the most part. The fact that most of them are Wolverine centric, which sometimes feels forced because the X-Men is bigger than Wolverine as a concept, right?
Yes.
And the fact that you have to sideline major characters or nerf them just so that Wolverine can be the star of the show and be the spotlight is is a disservice to the source or yeah, the source material
But
because
here's what I want to add here with regards to that. I think the reason they may have focused the most on Wolverine is that if you have to look at the X-Men, Wolverine is unfortunately the overwhelming favorite.
yeah, he's the most
When
yeah.
he's the most, he was the most popular. And then if you look at the first X-Men movies, they came around literally just after Blade.
Yeah.
So they needed to focus on a character that everyone loves to make to at least contain the hype.
Right.
So what they should have done was expand from the hype as soon as they started generating more fans. But they still pressed the same old save button, which
But
people get sick and tired of.
but look, at the time,
And that goes back to my point of sticking to what you know. Because when the first one came out, everybody loved Wolverine. Like, oh, Wolverine. And like, okay, Wolverine. We need to have Wolverine in there. Whatever we're doing. What are we doing? Are we doing an X-Men story about Storm? Okay, put Wolverine in there.
Like, but
No, we're doing an
why?
X-Men about Cyclops. Put Wolverine in there. Because Wolverine was the big star, he was a draw card.
right.
And because they care about the bottom line, they don't understand that if your story is good, people will come.
Yes.
They keep forgetting that point. They keep forgetting that point that it doesn't matter. You can have a story about anything. As long as it's good, people will come.
I want to
Look at
look at Lord of the
the
Rings.
clone Tyrone. It came through and people watched. They enjoyed it. Look at the Blackening. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I'd hoped that I would, but it was a fun story and people came to it. Look at the Jordan Peele movies. Jordan Peele came out of nowhere. No one expected him anything out of him except some comedy. He came through with I can't remember now the name of the movie, and he's been killing it
Yeah.
because the storyline was good. It wasn't actor focused. It wasn't it wasn't not character. It wasn't like for lack of, I can't think of the right word right now, but it wasn't character focused, i.e. it wasn't focused on Wolverine. Therefore, because Wolverine is in there, people watch it. It was focused on a good story, which happens to have a Wolverine or whoever,
What I want,
and therefore people enjoyed it.
what I want to add.
And that's where a lot of these movies and these guys, they think because they have the nerd audience, all they need to do is put nerd stuff in there, and then the nerds will go, oh, it's awesome! Look, there's
Facts.
Han Solo, there's Wolverine, there's Darth Vader,
You see,
there's Storm, there's Cyclops, and they don't actually focus on the story.
Han Solo is not bigger than Star Wars, right? And like I wanted to say that the X-Men movies came out around the same time as Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. And those movies worked because
No, 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 no.
No, Harry Potter came out in the early 2000s. The first one came out in
Yeah,
the
the X-Men came out around the same time as the Harry Potter movies, but Lord of the Rings came a little bit after.
just a year or two after.
Yeah, yeah.
My point is those movies have an ensemble, like they have a lot of characters, right? But they worked. Like in as much as you saw Harry Potter, you would love Dumbledore, you would love Hermione, you would even remember Longbottom, right? When you watch Lord of
I
the
love Longbottom.
there's Pippin, there's Smeagol, there's Gandalf, there's Sauron, there's so many characters, and I feel like had X-Men been given that same treatment, where yes, we know it's about Frodo, we know it's about Harry Potter, we know it's about Wolverine because he's being introduced to the X-Mansion and whatever, but flesh out every character and show why it is important to have these characters in this movie, because sometimes it just felt like the most important characters were Magneto, Jean Grey, Wolverine, and Professor X.
Not even Jean Grey. Jean Grey was only literally important in the third movie.
Because she was eye candy. No, no, I'm talking about like in the first two, she was the love interest of sorts. You know,
Okay, yeah, okay, fair
that
enough.
that was why she was significant because she was basically, for me, it felt like she was two characters in one. She was Beast and um, Jean, in a sense that some of the things that she was doing were things that Beast was supposed to be checking Wolverine's anatomy and checking, those type of things. That's something Beast would have done.
Because in the grand scheme of things, just more like the psychologist of the group instead of the doctor of the group.
Right, 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 right,
But
right.
How ironic that she was the one who needed the psychologist the most.
most most broken minds study the field they need to be test subjects the most. So
Okay, great now,
and
shame.
okay, can we talk about how they nerfed Rogue? Like the movie version Rogue is not Rogue.
beef.
That's not Rogue.
Okay,
That's
she
Jubilee.
she's by far the biggest nerf.
Yeah,
She is by far the biggest nerf. She's not the most annoying nerf
right.
because yeah, if they put Jubilee there, because if you remember the X-Men animated series that we grew up watching, Yadi Pop Eye,
Mm.
back in 1920s.
Yeah,
Yes, Jubilee was the perspective we went into the X-Men world with. In
right, right, right.
she got the powers. She went to the school.
She
She
was young.
Yeah, she crashed into the danger room. She
Mm.
tried to stop. She tried to take on take on Wolverine.
Right.
Caught him off guard. Everybody laughed at him. He threatened everyone. Just cute intro, very
Yeah,
nice. And we
right.
got the same perspective from Rogue
Mm.
in this new thing. But the thing is, Rogue's character in the comics is a thief.
And she's very tough. She's a tough cookie, man.
Oh God,
Rogue
knows.
is
Eh,
very tough, bro.
She's a Southern belle who will
This one
whoop
was
your ass.
the
Yeah.
She could, and I
and the one
remember
in the
this.
movie was just the sweet,
Oh
innocent child,
no!
like, "Oh, I don't know
Oh,
what's happening.
That's not
Oh,
oh
Rogue.
God!
save me!
I kissed
I
a
am a,
guy and
I am a
almost killed
damsel.
him.
That's not
I am a
Rogue.
damsel."
A damsel in distress? That is not Rogue, bro.
But the most annoying nerf for me, in terms of character wise, for me, has to be Cyclops.
Yeah, me too.
Mm,
God, I hate what they did to him.
mm.
Yeah.
Jealous boyfriend,
Since when?
incompetent leader, can't get over his own ego. At
Since
some
when?
point, then he's too much of a mopey cry baby.
Like I'm
And
not sure
remember, and
if you've noticed, but
imagine now for someone like, sorry to this before I forget, and
yeah.
now imagine I felt that way, ne? And I didn't even know him from the comics. So I can't even imagine how you guys knew him from.
Wow.
Like I hadn't watched the
God,
cartoon yet. So you can I can't even imagine how you guys, because I already felt like, why would Daddy Man so?
Yeah.
Because like they made him so
oh, no.
weak.
Mm.
And I didn't even have the perspective of the comics at that time. I didn't have the perspective of the cartoons. So I
Right.
can't even imagine how you guys felt who actually had watched the cartoons, who knew the comics, who knew the character. Who
I
knew what
mean,
it was about?
I've always
you
waited.
all used to play. Don't. We all went to Menlyn before. We all went to that wonderful arcade back in the day. X-Men Legends, it in a Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah,
There was a combination between Ryu and
it's a Street Fighter.
yeah,
Mm.
Street Fighter. Yes, those
Yeah,
were
Marvel versus Capcom.
Marvel versus Capcom.
It's that one.
There was Ryu and Cyclops, and that combination was a chaos.
Yeah, he was OP in those games.
He was like, yo,
For me, it's like
Mega
taking
Optic Blast.
optic blast.
That's how I used to win. That's how I used to win, bro.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
it's
taking one of the most important characters in the whole of X-Men and putting him to the side, benching him basically in a
yeah,
match and saying, "Stay on the bench
for
and let's
Wolverine.
let this guy score all the goals."
And fluff up Wolverine.
You know,
Exactly, exactly. So
And
that
make
Wolverine
him
didn't need
like
fluff up. He was already awesome.
it's like they tried so hard to get him off screen. I'll explain. In X2, he gets kidnapped at the beginning of the flipping movie
and
with
there is
Professor
don't see him
X.
until the end.
We don't see him until the end. And X3, he leaves the mansion, right? Like at the beginning, he leaves the mansion and goes and is killed by Jean Grey off screen. Like in the first one, Toad takes off his visor. You're like, this is the field leader?
Mhm. Who wouldn't have countermeasures against having his glasses taken off?
Especially when you know that if you don't have your glasses, you fucking everything up.
Dude, it
Anyway,
makes no sense.
no, now we are nitpicking over plot holes. Those are plot holes. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and that
But
let's forget that terrible line from Storm in the first one.
do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
What?
The same thing that happens to everything else.
They did Haley wrong, man. They did Haley wrong. Oh my soul.
Oh God!
It's
Oh,
like
God.
it's
That that
like
line alone exiled her from Wakanda. It's like the
it's like
Domination is just like we don't
it's
know
like
this
two
one.
writers. It's as if two writers were writing that movie. One was writing that "Do you know?" right question, then died before answering it, and then the other writer was like, "Oh, flip! I don't know. The same thing that happens to everything else. I have
That
no idea. I have no idea."
that that she put Wakanda back 20 years with that cringy line.
Oh my
Bro,
goodness! But we
oh
look
my soul.
to celebrate, right?
But
So
then the other lines that were awesome in those movies, like but like if you see whenever Magneto and Charles were in the
yeah,
same scene,
yeah,
Shakespearean level acting,
yeah.
perfect delivery.
Right.
I don't know how anyone in the camera in the recording scene wasn't busting a nut every time those two spoke, because I'd have lost control.
Yeah. Look. Even in the prequels that they've
Yeah.
made later on, the dialogue between those two characters, I mean, was great, man. I remember there's a scene in X-Men First Class where um, Magneto gives Charles a gun and he says, "Look, I want you to shoot me in the head." And Charles is like, and then Magneto's like, Charles is like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." Charles is like, "You know, I can stop it." And Charles is like, "If you can stop it, then you're not challenging yourself.
Yeah.
What's the point of me, you know,
Trying to shoot you.
pulling the trigger if you know that you're gonna stop it?" You
Which
know,
is ironic because decades later, he literally cocks a gun, shoots a cop, and stops the bullet before it, before it goes to his head.
jeez, that's the first movie, no?
That's the first
Yeah,
movie.
that was pretty cool. I'm not
That
gonna
was
front.
really,
That was pretty cool.
that was really cool. That was pretty
Like,
cool. But also, I think what I like about Magneto in any form of fiction is you can try whatever you can. You can do whatever you can to stop the guy. But his mission is so, or rather, I don't know if resolve is the right word.
it's
But his,
resolved.
yeah,
It is resolved.
it's so, I don't know, heavy that nothing. I mean, in the third one, they've given him like 4 injections of the cure or 5, and at the end of the film, he was still able to move the chess piece with his powers.
And that's the other thing you learn. Of all the mutants, nobody has studied their own powers as much as Magneto has. I think maybe Charles.
Probably, yeah. Probably Charles, yeah.
Probably Charles, but Magneto knows exactly what to do, exactly his limits, exactly how far he can
Yeah.
push himself.
Yeah.
He spent years honing that thing because to him it's his gift.
Right.
You know,
And talking of his resolve, that's why he would work with Doom or whoever, as long as it aligned with his goal. He
Yeah.
didn't care who he worked with.
Mm.
He didn't care,
Whether it's
what
the
are your
Austrian,
politics, what are my
Apocalypse,
politics.
Horseman, like
As
if
long
they,
as we
yeah,
have the same goal and we're gonna we trying to get from A to B,
right,
and you're not trying to get to C,
right.
Mhm.
let's go.
And
Yeah.
also, he tried to be a good father. Let's be honest.
He did to Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. And later on, it appears it happened that they're not his kids, but I think that was just retconning, and then someone fixed that. I think later
And
on.
then, and somewhere along the line, he might have been Polaris's father, or
Yeah,
might not
he
really.
is, isn't it? I think he is.
He is Polaris's father.
In some cases, in some stories lines, he isn't. This is like the most funniest thing.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those like Kim writes it and he's the
Yeah.
father. I write
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's not the father. You
Yeah.
write it, he's the
That's the
father. I think
problem
it's
of having too many writers on one. Jonathan Hickman would come and do this. The other person would come and redo what Jonathan. It's like it's
But,
expensive.
but,
It's politics. It's
but,
like
but that's the big issue with all Marvel and DC comics right now.
Mhm,
Because it's an
mhm.
IP with writers, not a writer with an IP.
Right,
So
right,
you come in then and say, okay, you're gonna get a story, you're gonna write us a story about Batman, and then they write a story about Batman, which then it for some reason invalidates all the other stories about Batman.
right.
That
and here's the crazy part. They literally have multiple worlds. Why don't you just make a Batman Earth 2 Batman if you want to do something different with
Right.
it?
which they
Right.
have.
They
Yeah,
have.
but they always try, but they're always messing up with the main thing, and then someone else has to come and fix
You're right.
it or
Right.
readjust it, or like,
You're
oh
right.
no, the Flash went back and now it's back to the original
How
thing.
many how many
Um,
Or
times has
uh,
Flash reset the timelines, guys,
should,
because of DC? There
should
was
I
the
say
new
I,
52,
should I
now
say
I
the
the
forbidden words?
pardon?
mm,
Should I say the forbidden words in DC?
Okay, let's see.
what,
New 52.
I was getting there. I was getting there. I was getting
Oh God, what they did there.
Okay, let's talk a bit about that because in as much as we're talking about X-Men, I just feel like at the end of the day, we're still talking about one specific thing, which is too many writers coming in and destroying a good thing, whether it's
Yeah.
movies or comics. So in the 80s, I think George Perez and Marv Wolfman, or just George Perez, I don't remember, they came up with a concept to basically take all these Elseworld stories and just combine them and make them one thing. And then they had Crisis on Infinite Earths. That was the first in all of comic book history. Nothing like that has ever been done before, where you have Superman and Superboy and Batman from another. Then they came and clashed and then eventually became one world. That was fine and it worked, right?
Mhm.
Then they realized that they made such a big mess in their stories that they wanted to reset the whole thing or reboot the whole thing. Then they came up with the new 52, and that didn't work out.
Cringe.
Then Flash now had to go back in time, hence Flashpoint Paradox in the comics. Then when he came back, now it's DC Rebirth, which is not that bad, but a lot of damage has already been done. And funny enough, James Gunn is doing the same thing with movies now. The DCEU is dying out, and now he's resetting the world
Who-
through
Okay,
Flash
okay.
to make the DCU.
A side note:
I,
Have
I
you guys
haven't
watched
watched that
Flash?
yet. I haven't watched it yet.
Uh, no, I
Okay,
haven't.
okay.
I started it and then my signal went wonky and then I got lazy.
Yeah, I started it too, and I then had to travel 100 kilometers away to back to Pretoria. So I was saved because my eyes were already bleeding at some point. So we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Um,
By the way,
I just realized nowadays with the movies that are coming out, with whether it's Phase 4, Phase 5, whether it's DCEU, whether it's they're not really meant for me.
yeah, yeah. It's like
which
I
watching
is
Power,
sad
it's
because
like
they
watching Power
literally
Rangers
are
now.
supposed to be made for you.
Yeah. Look, There's rumors that Wonder Woman 3 is gonna be in production. I don't know if it's true or not. But then that's the thing that
Why?
I like about these movies. You're confusing us. And the reason I'm saying that is look at what happened with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. You forced Patrick Stewart in there as Charles Xavier, even though it's a different world, different timeline, different everything. Now, when the X Men come out, we're going to be so confused. You're bringing Wolverine back, the old Wolverine back, and then you're saying you're going to have a Mutants movie later on. Are you going to cast a new Wolverine in there? What are you doing?
Oh my God, I forgot all about that. Oh, it's coming back. Oh no. Oh no. What did they do to my boy Charles? Oh God, no.
The headache I have right now, just
Oh
thinking about
God.
all.
Fantastic.
It's not the disrespect they did to Charles Xavier,
Right.
him being the head of the Illuminati and being this pacifist,
Mhm.
not so pacifist idiot.
Mm.
Is the way they made it. Are you going to tell me
Mm.
Charles Xavier got killed by the Scarlet Witch, who, canonically speaking, is a mutant herself?
Makes no sense.
Yeah, it's all because she's so powerful in the movie. She's the Scarlet. She's just a damn mutant.
But the MCU doesn't recognize her as a mutant. Remember when Joss Whedon had just gotten those two characters from I think Fox or something. The
Go
deal
straight
was
to hell.
yeah,
That's all I will say.
the
Go
deal was
straight to hell and don't turn
yeah.
Oh
back.
yeah, because
Don't
they remember
don't come.
they were part of an experiment.
Yeah, I know the
Yeah,
origin stories. I was there. I've watched both the Iron Man and the Avengers movies. I've seen them.
yeah, because they had to use Quicksilver. Fox wanted to use Quicksilver. Kevin Feige wanted to use, or Disney wanted to use Quicksilver. So the deal was okay. Our version will not be a mutant. Your version will be a mutant. But what was the deal again? They are not gonna acknowledge that they are
Yeah,
mutants or Magneto's kids. That one will acknowledge that is Magneto's child and a mutant.
and then get shot.
Yeah, I mean, it makes like
Lazy writing. I'm so sorry. Two two moments, two moments in all these movies that really broke my immersion.
mm,
When he got shot by Ultron,
right.
the same thing as when Spider-Man got shot in the second movie.
Which Spider-Man? There's been like three of them.
Spider-Man got shot.
Yeah, let's confuse the two. Okay, we've got the original Spider-Man trilogy, my homeboy.
Yeah,
There's Toby, there's Garfield,
Yeah,
and
Garfield.
there's
Holland.
Garfield in the first movie, he got shot by a cop.
As Spider-Man.
I don't remember that.
I don't
I
remember.
Yes,
don't
we
remember
all
that.
deleted that in our memory. That's how cringe it is. It's a good thing you forgot. Good man. Good man.
I,
Nice. Nice use of
I,
your head.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh, I was actually been thinking I need to go back to start from Blade and the X-Men and torture myself in watching that, but I probably should just go back to all these things and the Hulk
You know what?
with
Which which one? Which one?
David Banner with
Ooh, the cringe and the terrible acting. The first movie. Oh no, not with Eric Bana.
Eric Banner
Oh
and with
God.
Eric Bana for me is my favorite, by the way.
No.
I actually liked Eric Banner.
Yeah,
It's Ed Norton that was
yeah.
weird for
No,
me.
Ed Norton for me, no.
I
Like
Here's the thing.
like as
Here's my
Banner, he
problem.
was. Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem I had with Bana. I know, maybe because I've watched Troy before and everything. I know that Eric Bana is huge.
Yeah.
So I can't associate him as
Uh,
scrawny, weak, socially awkward nerd. When I know like this guy can bench press a car by himself.
Well, again, for
okay,
me,
I see you.
he resembled the banner I saw in the cartoons. Do you guys remember Sehanyata? When we were kids, there used to be
Yeah.
a Hulk Sutu version called Sehanyata. For me, he looked exactly like
Hanyata sanza itshireletse.
he looked exactly like that cartoon version. That's why when I saw him, I was like, oh flip, this is exactly the cartoon version that I saw as a kid. You know?
I
So
wish, guys, don't you wish you could get those old cartoons in the Soto, Tswana, whatever version they were in at the time.
No,
Remember, Prakanyan was in like Afrikaans.
no,
Prakanyan was
no,
Afrikaans.
thank you. It's okay.
Spider-Woman,
Spider-Man was
Spider-Woman,
Rabubi,
I know.
Rabubi.
Spider-Woman was in Tonga, bro. Spider-Woman.
Dude,
Oh,
He-Man, Shira and He-Man were in Tswana, I think, if I remember correctly.
right. And the ugly
I'm
duckling was
sorry.
in Ghana, right? PDP
I'm sorry. That ish, now that I think about it now, that ish was hilarious.
I know.
It
Bruh,
was that's why I
That
wanted for
dubbing.
I wanted for the hilarity,
If you
not
watch
for
it
anything
now,
else.
I swear to God, we will all collapse from cringe.
yeah, yeah.
The
No,
cringe.
I will collapse from laughter.
Bruh, even Tom and Jerry was in I think Sutu.
Yeah.
Like,
What
yo,
is, what is the other? What is the other
in the
about?
heat of
There's the one about.
of the night.
What is the
ugly,
name?
ugly duckling
That one who wanted to be a sultan. What's his name now?
is no good.
It's
Is
not
no
correct.
good.
I want to be the Sultan. I want to be
Ke
the
batla
Sultan.
ba Mosisi. Ka lebaka la Mosisi.
Ah, man.
Oh my soul.
Oh, God. Okay, you're showing our age. You're showing our age, people.
No, but yo, it's no good. It's no good was good though. It was for me. I put it on the same level as Pinky and the Brain.
Yes.
It was good humor. It was
Yes.
good humor.
And at some point, you found yourself rooting for the guy, and you're thinking,
Yeah,
what?
you actually want him to be the Sultan.
Like,
I don't know
no,
if you remember. There was an episode actually in Pinky and the Brain where they actually ruled the world. Like there was an episode where Brain was president of America. He was an American president, and he was making a speech and everything.
no, I can tell you, there was the one time where they they managed to give consciousness to the Earth itself,
Oh, flip.
and the
Oh
Earth
damn.
and the Earth itself what basically thought itself like it was Brain's child, and that's how he managed to take over the world. They replaced the Statue of Liberty with his face.
Wow.
There's a part where Cuba was saying, no, we'll never surrender. And then you just see the whole island almost flood up. And then, no, you're surrendering, you're surrendering. You just see the floods of science.
But you see,
The fact
that
I
is
still remember
brilliant.
this is actually scary.
That is brilliant writing, and I don't think I think one thing that's missing in these movie adaptations, live action versions of comic book related movies is the same writers that did these like Batman the animated series and Young Justice and what else can I think of that was really good? The Avengers cartoon, Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah, that one.
Those are the writers that need to come in and do the to be part of these live action movies. People like who's this guy? Alan Moore, who wrote Watchmen, or the guy who wrote Grant Morrison, and the guy who wrote The Dark Knight Returns. Those are the guys that we need to be writing these movies, Joe.
I mean, to go back to what Zuko said much earlier, the action isn't even compelling anymore. Let's compare notes. Like,
Right.
if you're to see the thing that made one of my favorite movie from this new era is to be Avengers, hands down, the first Avengers movie.
Me too.
And the thing about the Avengers movies is at the apex of the battle, there was this cutscene where you saw all the Avengers fighting, and you could see how they work in unison. There was the Scarlet Widow jumped into the Chitauri chariot. She forces the other one to crashes on top of that, gets shot down by Wolverine, who ducks down, fights with those other two, reflects one of those beams down the Captain America's shields, flies up. It's the whole thing. You just
So
see it.
there's a part where Iron Man comes down, right? After
Yes.
beating a bit of the Chitari, then
Yes, that's it.
shoots his beam to Cap's shield, and then
And
it
then
Yeah, it's
Oh.
talking
And
about
then
that scene, and then
then flies
Thor
up,
comes
Clint.
down and
Wah!
when Thor hits the captain's shield and the lightning goes
Then
everywhere.
they fight on that biggest Leviathan thing with the Hulk.
Look,
Hulk takes this piece of its spine,
the
hammer,
first,
boom,
the
down.
first, the first Avengers movie changed everything.
Yeah.
It changed everything about superhero movies.
Now
From
here's
Cap's leadership, I mean, saying things like, okay, these things are coming from the sky, right? So that means, Hawkeye, I need you to use your arrows to try and get them, like drop them as many. Oh, let's start with Thor. Thor, you got the lightning. Take them from above, and the ones that you miss, will Clint will make sure to take care of them. And then the ones that are still in the air, Hulk will smash. Tony will get rid of some of them. The ones that get to the ground, Natasha and I will sort them out. Come on, man.
And then
Actually,
Clint will
the
tell us
strategy
where's
was-
everything, where's everything.
Oh my god, the fact that I still know the strategy is still sad. Anyway, the strategy was the Thor bottlenecks the portal.
Right.
Clint calls out patterns and strays. He
Right.
for Captain America for Iron Man to take them down or redirect them back into the city center where the fighting should happen. So
Right.
they don't spread out.
Right.
Right? And then Natasha and Captain America will keep the fight centralized there and take them down.
Yeah.
And Hulk's job was just to smash.
Smash. Just smash.
And Hulk smashed.
Let's put it kaskasi. Fuck shit up.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what Hulk was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I
And
knew
one of my favorite lines. One of my favorite lines is, "Okay, guys, I'm bringing the party to you." I don't see how that's a party.
How is that a party?
Dr. Bernard, I think now is the time to really get angry.
Like, that's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
Angry.
And
Angry.
even though
and then he punches the hell out of that thing.
it's epic, I agree, but it's also one of the biggest plot holes in the whole movie.
Yeah. How are you always angry, bro?
How do you suddenly control yourself? This whole time, everybody was busy walking around eggshells, except for Tony. Tony was busy.
No, Tony was curious.
But remember,
Tony was
he's
curious.
been away for a while. He's been
Yeah.
away for a while. So he probably, during that time that he was hiding himself, being a doctor and things, that's probably when he figured out how to
Yeah.
calm himself and control himself.
They-
They just didn't delve into it properly.
Yeah. But otherwise,
My
that
favorite-
movie is
My last one is when it's like when Cap tells the cop, like, you take there's people in that building over there, take them there. And then dude is like, why am I gonna listen to you? And then the Chitauri come through and Cap does his thing. Pa, 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 pa. And it's like, okay, guys, John,
But also, are you telling me that guy didn't know who Captain America was? Shouldn't Captain America be like a hero to every American at that time? Because he was the first Avenger. He did a great thing. Shouldn't
yes.
I think he was still coming
Yes,
out
he
at the time. They knew him, but he wasn't active. I don't think he was active at that. Remember where they found him? He was still at the gym. He was still trying to remember stuff. So
Sure.
he wasn't actively Captain America.
But what I mean is, they have recognized that this is Captain America? Or maybe
No.
he just thought, okay, this guy is just pretending Captain America.
Yeah, because by
But like I said,
by that time,
he
remember,
wasn't active. And remember, Captain was active in 1940,
Yeah,
World War
exactly.
II.
Yeah.
World War II,
And
Yeah.
then when he came back,
he was hidden.
they didn't really make a big hoo-ha. They hid him to try to reorientate him.
Right.
Correction.
And then he was just chilling at an apartment trying to get what's going on. And he was doing secret missions. The missions that he was doing was secret.
Guys,
I
have you
mean,
noticed something?
Would Fury ever let Captain America out in public?
Exactly. He wasn't public yet.
He
Remember,
would
Tony Stark was literally the only known hero at that
at
time.
the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something. Have you guys noticed that Cap and Tony were always the two remain in the first movie? Thor was, I think Loki had kicked him off the helicarrier. Banner was, I think he fell off as well, and then
Yes.
They took him out in that
yeah,
cell.
and then Clint was being mind controlled by Loki. I don't remember what was happening with Natasha at the time, but the only two remaining were Cap and Iron Man. In
No, Natasha was fine because she's the one who knocked Clint back to the senses.
right,
Thor's the one who went out in Loki's cell.
right,
Hulk got blown away
right,
from the carrier,
right.
and then Tony, his armor was messed up, but he was there, and Cap was also there.
So what I'm trying to say is there's moments where it's just Cap and Tony. In the first one, there was that moment where even Nick Fury was lying, giving some speech because Phil Coulson had died. Do you remember that part? And then in Infinity War, the two leaders were in two different areas, but they still had to make sure that they come up with another plan. In Endgame, when all was said and done, Cap was fighting Thanos by himself, and Iron Man.
Guys. Let's get back to the X-Men. We went wee. Let's come back. We're gonna talk about Avengers someday, okay?
I wanted us to come back a long time ago, but
Let's come back. Let's come back.
Yeah.
In a point of order.
Okay. Look.
We are back from our we're back to our schedule programming.
Last time we spoke about the Phoenix Force, and how powerful the Phoenix Force is. And we talked about how writers tend to retcon some of these moments because a character is so popular that we don't want that character to be a villain for too long. So let's redeem them by retconning this thing and making it seem like the Force was the one that was manipulating Jean Grey. But we know that it was actually Jean Grey. It was written that Jean Grey was the one that killed all those people.
She was the Phoenix Force.
She was the Phoenix Force, right?
I'm okay with that. I still love her.
I'm also okay. So I wanted us to talk about Omega level mutants, which is something that I think we don't talk about as much. I know that Storm is an Omega level mutant. I mean, she has always been. I think she's just been recognized as an Omega mutant a few years ago, which is crime.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, how is she only now? Woman can literally control the weather.
Right.
Do you understand what the weather is? The weather is tornadoes.
I don't want to say it.
The weather is lightning.
It's lightning, like, snow.
Lightning alone.
Right.
That's an Omega level power.
Right.
But
then you have Iceman.
Yeah.
Who can basically do what? What can he do on a molecular level again? He can. I forgot what he can do. I think he can freeze since our bodies are made out of water. I think he can freeze that water in your body or something like that. It's
like that.
Yeah, it makes sense. So basically, instead of blood bending, he's freeze bending you.
I guess. Yeah.
It is practically immortal.
Yeah, he is. So long as he can.
If there's enough water nearby, he will survive.
He will survive.
Yeah.
So that is crazy. And then who else is an Omega? Okay, Jean Grey obviously is an Omega level mutant.
Magneto and Charles, obviously.
Yeah.
They didn't. They only recently put them in the Omega level relatively recently because the thing about Omega level entry, if I'm not quite mistaken, was that they needed to have enough power to be able to destroy all mankind.
Right. But with Charles,
Legion.
Do that. Yeah, no, Legion, Franklin Richards, and Scarlet Witch. Those characters. I mean, Franklin Richards can create worlds out of nowhere.
And let's not forget Cable. Cable is eternally nerfed because of this super poison.
Yeah.
Wait, there are versions of Cable who didn't got shacked by, was it Dr. Sinister or was it whoever who was? And that man is a beast.
And you see, that's the other thing that they don't acknowledge about Cyclops. His Cable's dead, but nobody says that. Like nobody says.
Who's your? Yeah, way too cool to be. Who's your father? Him? Are you sure?
If
But
I know Cyclops, Lona, Cyclops, uzocala
That's
Cyclops.
Cyclops C right there.
also, we don't talk enough about Havoc, Cyclops' brother.
Yeah.
I feel like he needs more recognition. When I was reading the comics, I loved his character. At a point,
And
I actually genuinely thought this is the main character because Cyclops was absent for a while. So I was like, this guy is actually cool.
and let's not forget, well, comic speaking, Juggernaut also.
I'm unstoppable. But Juggernaut is not a mutant, apparently.
Suddenly.
Not? Since
Well,
when?
from what I heard, he's not because he got those powers from that suit or something. I don't remember his
No,
powers.
he is basically one of the 10 elementals or something like that.
Yeah, something.
He's basically an avatar of the god of destruction and movement. So suddenly, but from what I remember, he was Charles's brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
And
what I know.
there's also Charles's sister that we haven't talked about. You remember Charles's sister, the blonde, the bald girl lady who manipulated herself. What did she do again? She's not biologically Charles's sister. I think she did some crazy stuff. I think she got into his body and got some of his DNA or something like that. Some crazy, comics.
It
Some
sounds
crazy stuff.
sounds like a Me Too movement right there.
Sounds
Yeah.
like Brooke Logan is going like, yo, how do I get some of that? Ngizongena ku-Eric ngoku. Not really.
Guys, can we talk about Onslaught?
Onslaught.
I mean, we haven't
I
even
don't know.
spoken about Apocalypse. So Onslaught is basically a fusion. If Charles and Magneto had done the fusion dance, they'll become Onslaught.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what happened, I think, in the 90s, where I think Charles was trying to kill Magneto by tapping into his mind or something, but then they joined, something like that. Something like that. And yeah, he became one heck of a villain. Like they couldn't, it was very tough to destroy him,
I
So
can imagine because, I mean, imagine you have Magneto's power and you understand Magneto can literally
Turn you inside out.
turn you inside out from just you having too much, you've eaten too much beetroot and now you've got iron in your system.
Yeah,
And now,
I remember some
and
doctor was
then
explaining how it is impossible for that trick to have worked.
I'm sure it is, but we
He
are
would
not
have
in
died.
reality. And then you have Charles, who can basically just make you think that you're a chicken without actually even touching you or doing anything to you. You can just. So imagine someone who can kill you or who can redirect your mind at their will in one. And then also remember the relentlessness and ruthlessness of Magneto
hey, dude.
was that much power.
Yeah.
But
And remember in the movie Logan, Charles basically had seizures so bad he was making earthquakes.
Right.
So that means his power level
It's crazy. OP, bro.
it's crazy because this was, remember, the Charles we getting is the control Charles.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one in Logan,
Killed the
he was
entire
having seizures, so
Yeah.
he killed
He killed the entire
people. A seizure. This man watched niggas in Paris. The lights did something to him, and then Kumibani for everyone.
But
how about remember there's that alternate universe Wolverine story where he has a relationship with Hercules. They end up fighting. Yes, everybody's trickers, but I just wanted to get to the point where they gave Wolverine an adamantine armor, body skeleton, so that he could go fight against an evil version of Charles Xavier who literally took over the world.
Is that Old Man Logan? I don't know.
No. It's an alternate storyline. I'll send you the links somehow.
Oh, okay.
But I'll
Sure.
tell you, literally, the main bad guy turns out it was Charles Xavier on an evil streak, and he took over the world.
And
Jesus.
and do you understand that Charles can literally do this without actually going on some pink in the brain
Yeah,
elaborate
Yeah.
scheme?
Yeah.
the ultimate genjutsu. He's basically
You can just wake up one day and
Ke
say,
madara, uwanne, ke madara, dia manu tla ba shapa ka infinite Tsukuyomi. No.
yeah.
Oh my god, guys. You can literally just do the
You
infinite
can you can
Tsukuyomi
you
on
can just
everyone.
you can just wake up one day and decide, you know what, screw this. I'm
I'm
destroying
I'm
humankind.
tired of y'all trying to kill each other. I want some peace and quiet. I want to go outside and not get robbed.
And you
I
know
want
what
to
I
see
like?
no
You know what I like about the X-Men? At a point, I think Cyclops started focusing more on the mutants and mutant kind, because he did a live broadcast on television and told the mutants that, look, if you need a haven, Genosha is the place to be. And there's even parts where in the comics, some of these mutants would address the Avengers and say, when we are in trouble, you guys are not there.
yeah.
But whenever mankind is in trouble, you do whatever you. But when we're in trouble,
But
crickets.
there's a caveat to that.
Mhm.
Y'all got power. Save yourself.
Exactly.
No,
It's like
but look, there's
how
some.
would the world feel like if Wakanda walked up to the United Nations and say, okay, whenever you're in trouble, you don't.
I get it.
Whenever we're in trouble, you don't come to us. But whenever
I get it. But the X
Angela Bassett is
the X-Men
badass.
but X-Men tries,
it's everyone
guys.
Oscar.
X-Men tries to help mankind way often than not. The least they
Mm.
do is get some aid from time to time.
That is
And the
true.
thing is
But then
also
there's but they do.
it's a double-edged sword
Mm.
for mutants. If Kim tries to rob me and I've got the power to turn my hand into stone and I punch him, they're like, yeah, look at these people. They killed, he almost killed Kim. Now he punched him with. But I was like, he was trying to rob me. There's his gun. The only reason I'm alive right now is because I could turn into a rock. And therefore the bullets bounced off me. Still,
But
umlimeze. Ukem gumntu nje. He's just a person.
Right.
And that's where
yeah,
also now the double-edged sword of using your powers as X-Men comes through.
Whether
but
it, whether it should be legal or not.
that caveat is also a
Mm.
it's basically the same superhero registration act all over again. It's basically Civil War because
Right.
the at that point, I think the reason why that registration act came into being is that so many people had powers.
Mm,
It
mm,
wasn't just it's mutants.
yeah.
I mean, we have a mad scientist who, in trying to make the super soldier serum, doused himself with so many graviton energy he became a black hole himself.
Right. How do you stop that person?
And to think that a person who has the power of gravity is considered a B tier villain,
Makes no sense.
it shows just how OP this world, this
Yeah.
world you're living in.
Yeah. Guys.
So for
Yeah, Brad. Like, you understand? If I had the power of gravity,
Mm.
every time I see tall people, I'm like, bow down, bitch.
Neil,
There used to be a character called the Beyonder.
mm,
At a
Mhm.
point, the Beyonder was so OP that I think no Marvel character could stop him at a point,
mm,
until the creator of the Beyonder, I think it's Jim Shooter, left Marvel. Then every other writer did not know what to do with that character, and he just started fading off.
yeah.
So Marvel has so many OP characters, and some of them have
You,
faded to obscure. What's that word? Obscurity.
that's the way it is.
And that's the thing with
You'll go
having
on
like
and on and on
powers.
about DC having overpowered characters. You haven't seen Marvel's roster. It's just as scary.
Yeah,
In some in
Sentry,
some cases, it could be worse.
Galactus, Silver Surfer. Um, who else is Doctor Doom? Um, yeah, there's so many
So,
OP
so,
characters.
so many people will be saying, if you put the Justice League in the Marvel universe, the Justice League will solve their problems in an hour. And I'm thinking, y'all don't know Marvel.
Oh,
Marvel, The difference between Marvel and DC is that Marvel doesn't take itself seriously.
Well, it depends on the writers.
I'm talking about comics.
Yeah, even with comics, because sometimes when you look at stuff like Avengers versus X-Men, or you look at House of M, where Scarlet Witch said no more
No
mutants.
mutants.
Dude, like that changed everything. And you see, but that's how you make Wolverine the main character. Because in a situation like that where it says no more mutants, right? Everybody's memories were wiped off. Like nobody could remember anything. But
guys,
we
just
could. Oh, okay. I think he's busy with something.
He's got a mute.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, I think it's concepts like that, like House of M and what's that other one that I'm thinking about now? Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Where you can make Wolverine relevant without forcing him to become the main character. Like
all Age of Ultron. Have you ever read Age of Ultron?
The comics version.
Yeah.
No.
It's brilliant, and Wolverine is while he may not necessarily be the main character, but he's the one who has to go back in time.
Wow.
Because Ultron literally took over the universe, then they had to go back in time to try and stop Hank from creating Ultron in the first place.
Right.
And then when Hank says no, he's not gonna stop making his creation, Wolverine snaps and kills Hank Pym. And then they go back to the future where everything's screwed up and Morgana has taken over the world. Only because there was some point where Hank some point in time where Hank did something that altered the timeline. So they had to go back, stop Wolverine from killing Hank, and then finally get Hank to create a clause that managed to switch off Ultron when he starts going super evil.
Jeez.
And then ultimately go back into the normal timeline, and then old Logan has to kill new Logan because Logan witnessed too many crazy shit in his past timeline. That end didn't make sense, but otherwise, apart from that whole arc involved around Wolverine, and there's another character. I keep forgetting her.
Yeah, but that's when Marvel takes itself seriously. You remember even the part where the Phoenix Five, where the Phoenix Force split itself and then went into Namor, Cyclops, Colossus, Emma Frost, and this is Avengers versus X-Men, by the way.
Yeah.
And I forgot the fifth one, and Cyclops killed Charles.
Surprise.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I unfortunately have to cancel the call. I have family matters to handle.
No, it's cool.
It's been an hour and a half.
I think it's we can all switch off. Guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been a great episode. I know.
Wait. I just want a quick round.
Right.
What are your favorite
Okay.
What are your favorite X-Men?
Yeah, I wanted to ask that actually. Top three.
Ooh.
You can start, Zuko.
Storm. Legion. And Storm. Oof. This is tough.
Yeah.
Storm, Legion, Remy. The one with the Remy with the radioactive cards.
Oh,
Gambit.
Gambit.
There you go.
All
right.
I just love that southern drawl. I like a hair.
Nice choice.
I'm trying to think. I think I only chose like these on actually because I'm thinking there's literally like another 5 running through my head right now, and I'm trying like no. But
okay, so
this is what I'm.
Your top 3 for now.
Yeah, my top 3 for now. It's Storm, it's Legion, and Gambit.
Okay.
Is it me? Yeah.
I don't even have to think twice about this. Cyclops, Professor X, and Magneto.
Okay. Well, I agree with my number 1 is Magneto, always, now and forever. Yeah. And then Charles is second because I'm also a dreamer and I can identify with the curse of being a dreamer like that.
Right.
And my number three is the hard part because I love Storm.
Mm.
I love Storm. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm also a Wolverine stan, so I'm
Yeah.
always tied between two. It alternates from day to day, but I think today I'm gonna go with Storm.
I get it.
Yeah,
Get it.
because
Look,
Mm.
if I had a top 10, Storm would definitely be there.
no, definitely.
Yeah. But Legion, yeah.
And actually, with Storm, I actually went into her lore and how she comes from this tribe that she was basically a rain queen and yada yada yada, and
And
she was basically a rain queen.
at a point.
Yeah, she's actually
She
basically a
beats
rain queen who's
Cyclops
a
to it,
mutant.
yeah. Mm.
So
Um,
that was like very fascinating. And Legion, I think I find Legion the most fascinating. This dude literally is schizophrenic because every time he needs a power, he needs a personality for that power. That's freaking insane.
That's crazy.
all right, guys. Okay, I've asked the question. Then I think you can go now. I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, guys, thanks again for oh sorry, do you want to say something before I close?
Yes, quick suggestion. I think we need to uh, uh suggestion for the next episode.
Yeah.
We need an episode on Suruman. This guy has done so many movies. He is so gangster. If you read his bio, it looks like it looks like fiction.
Who's Suruman?
The actor who plays Suruman, I forgot his name right now. The actor
Which
who plays Suruman from Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Saruman.
Saruman, yeah.
Yeah,
Is
Suruman.
it
I was like,
Saruman?
who's Suruman? It's Saruman.
Sorry.
Who's Suruman?
Yes, my bad. Like
It's Christopher
if you
Lee.
read his bio, this dude basically there was a
Yeah,
point
no.
in time he was a spy. There was a time he won a fencing competition. He
What?
was a racing driver. He was like his bio looks like
He literally married a
James Bond.
princess. He looks like King Charlemagne.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I know him. I know
This
him.
is this is this is the guy who was Gandalf's mentor in the movies, right?
Well, he's more
Yeah,
leader, not mentor, but still, yeah.
Leader. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This dude basically
Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Count Dooku. James Bond looks up to this guy.
Yeah, it's
And
based from
James Bond
him.
is fiction.
Which
Yeah.
James
Is it
Bond?
based? Yes, that's true.
Which James Bond?
That's
are
how
you-
gangster is. James Bond. 007.
The character James Bond, not any actor who played James Bond, but actually the character.
No.
The
The
character.
character.
What the hell, guys?
You didn't know?
Lee Fleming based it on him
Yeah.
because the dude is so awesome. He's lived life, dog.
Guys,
He's
but
literally
but
he witnessed the last execution by guillotine ever back in 1970 something.
yeah, but his acting is just on another. That's why even in Star Wars, nobody could defeat him until Anakin had to turn to the dark side. Like he is just that great of
Yeah.
a character.
Yeah. Okay.
And
We'll get
basically
to that. I think I
basically
like
the
that
sword
idea.
fights. He knew it because he was a fencing champion.
Jeez.
We'll get to that. I think that's going to be that'll be an awesome topic because he's
Yeah.
also played Dracula so many times.
Wow.
The vampire age would not be what it is if it weren't for him. Anyway, we'll get back to that guy. We'll talk.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Thank you so much for
I'll
watching
calm
this
down.
episode. And I'm sure you guys have now you know Tebello and that Zuko guys. So these are the guys that I really love talking to about all these things. There's gonna be other people as well, but yeah, this is another episode of Mr. Extraordin. And thanks again. We'll see you on the next one. All right. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Hola.
Nerd out.
Ah.